Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kev Arnaiz. For those who are just viewing the first time, I'm a college student. I am currently taking up education major in English, and at the same time I'm working in an IT firm, international IT firm I would say, and I do vlogs about pets, about travel, and maybe some school requirements such as this. So if you want to keep track on my latest video, please hit the like and subscribe button. Thank you. Hello guys. Nagkakagulo sila dito. I'm here and it's snowing and I'm really so travel going to the United States. And this is me. Alright. So today's vlog is actually about one of the most historic of all historic events that transpired in Philippine history, and that is the 1986 EDSA Revolution, popularly known as the People Power Revolution. This is actually the very first EDSA Revolution because there were actually series that came after this, and we will recounting and itemize those incidents beforehand before this happened, so that we would find out what triggered the Filipino masses to go out and march and stood up for what they call democracy. I will try my super level best to contain and fit them in 5 minutes max, and without further ado, allow me to take you back to that time. There were a series of events that took place before the 1986 EDSA People Power Revolution happened. One, President Marcos proclaimed martial law, the 1972 martial law. He seized emergency powers, which gives him the full authority and control of the Philippines military. He oppressed and abolished the freedom of the press and shuts down all the rest of the media establishment, especially those who were against his policy, his administration. He also ordered the immediate arrest of those political opponents he has, which includes Benigno Aquino Jr. And then after the proclamation of the martial law, during the 1980s, there was a collapse of the Philippine economy, which gave President Marcos the ticket to acquire humongous foreign debts. And since that most of his political opponents were all in prison, Benigno Aquino Jr. tried to get out of that prison and tried to seek a medical treatment going to the States. Just to fast track, and I'm not really going into details about that, after leaving in the States, after having his checkup, his treatment in the US, he wished to return back here in the Philippines, and that's where he was assassinated. There were actually a lot of warnings he had received not to come back, but persistently he really wished to return in the Philippines. And despite receiving a lot of warnings and death threats from the military, as well as the First Lady herself, Imelda Marcos, not to come back, Benigno Aquino Jr. was so determined to return to the Philippines. And that's where he was assassinated. Now, this assassination brought the Philippine economy to deteriorate further and to plunge into debt for even furthermore. The assassination of Benigno Aquino Jr. shocked and enraged many Filipinos, and most of whom had lost confidence with the Marcos administration. Now, this event leads into more suspicions from the government, triggering non-cooperation among Filipinos, which leads into outright civil disobedience and made President Marcos proclaimed a snap election. The presidential candidates of the 1986 snap elections were the wife of Benigno Aquino Jr., which was Corazon Aquino, and the incumbent president Ferdinand Marcos, which was eventually won by Marcos, declared as the winner by the COMELEC. The election was marred by widespread reports of violence and tampering of election returns. Now, what leads to the rising of the Filipino masses to march along EDSA? One of the reasons was actually the program of the Radio Veritas. They were going underground, and they played one of the key role during the mass uprising. People came to EDSA until it swelled from hundreds to thousands to hundred thousands, or more so with millions. There were actually whole family entertainers, nuns, and priests who are doing vigils and trying to barricade those troops that are trying to break the demonstrators. Up until Enrile and Fidel Ramos joined the group, which eventually made Marcos left going to Hawaii. And that's where the story of the EDSA revolution ends.